Hey, it's me, Kati Spaniak, and I'm a Palencia resident, and I want to ask you something. How much stress are you willing to take on to sell your home in Palencia? Could it be a lot? Could it be a little? Is it worth it? Are you looking to get the most amount of money, or are you looking to have an easy sale? In today's video, I'm going to talk to you about a real life example. I'm going to share this story with you with a husband who really does not think you need to paint, does not think you need to get the home ready, and a wife who does. So let's get into it. So I was talking to a seller who was thinking about selling their home. They're in their 70s, and the husband wants to do all the work around the house to get the home ready to go on the market. He has had a heart attack. He's got some bad shoulders, but he really does want to do all the work himself. He wants to do all the painting of their house, but actually he doesn't really think that the house needs to be painted. Now, the wife, on the other hand, is thinking, we really need to have this home painted if we are going to be selling it, because they have some deferred maintenance and they want to make it look the best way possible. Their agent also had said, you really need to paint the house. And the husband is saying either no, he's not going to pay somebody to do it, or he's going to do it himself. Now, the wife is very concerned about this because she really believes that he probably shouldn't be doing this and it's worth the money. So now who's right here? And where do you go with this question? I get a lot of sellers who pose the same question to me, and I will tell you many of the times it's the husband who's a little more adamant that they don't want to spend the money getting the home ready, and they don't understand why a buyer needs to have a whole house painted before they buy it. They think, well, they're just going to paint it themselves when they move in. But here's really where the stress comes in, because she is exhausted with fighting with her husband. He's exhausted from fighting with her. And who's right? Well, the question is really, do you need the money or do you want the money? And if you want the money, how much stress are you willing to take on? Because you really need to be looking at the fact that the more money you want, the more stress you probably are going to have. And so many of the people who watch my channel are older, generally about 55 and up, and they've been in their homes for a long time. And so when one person like you is watching these videos, and then you go to your partner or your spouse and you say, look what Kati's saying. We need to make sure that we're doing all these things to get our house ready. The other partner is not really bought in. The other partner is thinking, why do we need to do all this? I don't want to spend this money. It doesn't make a difference. Nobody cares. Well, that's where the stress comes in. So I'm sure many of you out there have tried to share my videos with your partner, and it just is not going anywhere. But before you do that, I really want you to ask yourself, are you trying to get the most amount of money for the home? Do you need the most amount of money for the home? Is your partner saying we have to get the most amount of money for the home? Because in this certain scenario, what I would say to this couple is, I would say, do you need the money or do you want the money? Okay, so if you want the money and you're not willing to paint, are you prepared to get a lower price for the house? So that's all the wife needs to say to her husband is, are you prepared to get a lower price for the house? And he may say yes. He may say yes. So for all of you who watch these videos and are in my Facebook group and think that you need to do every single thing that I'm talking about in my seller's playbook and everything that I've put out there, you don't really have to do that if your goal is to eliminate or make your stress lower. You just need to keep in mind that you're probably not going to get the price that you are looking for. So this is what I want to tell you, is that more money might mean more misery. Yep, it's true. So the more money that you want, it might mean more misery for you. And I really want you to think about that idea, is that, do you need the money or do you want the money? And I've really put a lot of thought into this because I'm currently writing my book, Sell Your Home Fast for More Money Stress-Free. It will be out next spring. And as I go through it, I'm really analyzing from the thousands of people that I've talked to, that I've worked with, the people in my Facebook group, the viewers like you. I'm really looking to see is what is most important. And I'm putting together some frameworks about what I really want you to understand. And so I'm going to share a little bit about this right now that nobody's really seen before, but this is going to be part of the book that I'm putting out. So for all of you who have not downloaded my Seller's Playbook, I have a specific Palencia Seller's Playbook made just for you in the Palencia community. And this is going to give you 40 free pages of getting your home ready to sell. It's going to show you exactly how you need to prepare, what you need to update, how you need to stage, what you should price it at, and how you choose your agent. Of course, I would love for you to choose me, but if you don't, it's going to give you some real great insight on how to choose that agent. In addition, I have my home checklist. My home maintenance checklist that I just did is included in that playbook. So I want to make sure that you go ahead and download it today. So I want to talk to you about my misery meter. And I've put this into 4 categories. And I want you to really sit there and I want you to show your spouse or your partner, and I want you to talk about Where do you want to fall in this misery meter? The 4 categories are the smooth exit, the comfortable compromise, the pressure cooker, and the breakdown zone. Now, I want you to choose where you want to be in these categories. So the smooth exit is really no stress. You don't want any stress. You don't need the money. You don't want the money. You just want to be done and easy. This is where somebody is really comfortable pricing below market value, where you don't want to have many showings. You have an immense amount of stress. Maybe you're sick, maybe you're older, and you really are just done with taking care of the home. Are you in the smooth exit category? The next zone is the comfortable compromise zone. Now, this is kind of low stress. You're willing to do a little bit of work, maybe a little. You want a little bit of money, but you do not want to go all out. Like, you are totally fine if you don't get exactly what the home is worth. You just want to sell. Now, many of you out there think, well, everybody wants the most amount of money they can get for their house, right? Well, I see where some people just don't care and they just want to get out and be done and over. And I want you to, in your partnership, in your marriage, I want you to be talking to each other about what is more important to you. Do you just want to be done and over? Do you want the most amount of money? If you are looking for, maybe you can handle a little bit of stress and you're going to get the house ready, this is the comfortable compromise. Okay, the pressure cooker. Now, this is high stress. This is where you are trying to get every single dollar out for the home. Either you really want the money or you really need the money. And so you are going all out and you are getting your house ready. You're painting, you're spending money, and you really are doing a lot of work to get it ready. But I want you to think, are you comfortable with that high stress? Again, go ahead and talk to your spouse about this and find out, where do you want to fall? And then finally, we have the breakdown zone. And this is where it is very easy to get into. This is usually where one person wants a really high price and is not willing to do any work at all. So the breakdown zone is where I definitely do not want you to be, because you're not going to get the most amount of money and it can really affect the stress in your marriage. You probably, if you're in this category, don't really care about what any experts say. You're probably the spouse that is reluctantly watching this video. You're probably the spouse who doesn't want to listen to your real estate agent either. So if you are in this category and you're not willing to put in any money, but if you want a high price for the house, you can expect there to be trauma. So I just want you to really think about it. Do you need the money or do you want the money? And are you willing to handle this much stress? You know, I talk to a lot of people who are in these situations, and I feel for them because they might not have put in any effort or money over the years in their house. And now it's time and they have to sell. They need to sell. They need to move on. And they realize that they have a lot of deferred maintenance. They have a lot of things that they haven't kept up over time. And the reality is that the people who will make the most amount of money on their homes are the people who put in money on a yearly basis. You know, when you're in it, and you see that maybe a fence post needs to be repaired, you really don't want to spend, a couple $100s to have a handyman come out and do that. And so you put it off because you think, you know what, it's not worth it. We don't really have the money. The problem is if you choose not to repair these things, what will happen is you will not get the money out when you go to sell your home. So I'm asking you to come up with probably a yearly budget of what you want to spend on fixing things around the home. Maybe it's $1,000, maybe it's $5,000, maybe it's even more. But I really want you to make sure you're putting money aside to increase the value of your home over time. Because what will end up happening is you're going to call me. You're going to say, okay, Katie, I'm ready to sell in like 3 months. And I'll say things like, okay, well, how old's your roof? How old's your furnace? Do you have any deferred maintenance? How old's your kitchen? How old are your bathrooms? And you're going to say, well, we wanted to replace the roof and we wanted to, do the landscaping and probably do a refresh in the kitchen. And I'm saying, okay, are you ready to spend $50,000 right now? Most people are not ready to spend that kind of money right before they go on the market. And so the goal is to make sure that you are not spending that money right before you go on the market because you probably don't have it. But can you budget $5,000 a year for your house, for the maintenance, and say, we're going to replace things that are broken. We are going to paint. We are going to keep the upkeep going. We're going to have the furnace service, things like that. And so I really, as I've been writing this book, I've really been digging deep down and analyzing people I've talked to, and I've put together a home maintenance checklist. Now, for all of you who have already downloaded the Seller's Playbook, You're going to love this because it's another addition to the playbook. It's in there. It's in the current playbook. So it is my home maintenance checklist. Now, this is going to give you everything in your house that you really should be keeping up on kind of a yearly basis. And I'm going to give you an example. One is a broken doorbell. Okay, so how many of you have broken doorbells? If you have a broken doorbell, put it in the comments. I want to make sure you tell me, because when somebody has a broken doorbell and I walk up to the house and I see that the doorbell is broken, like a little tiny doorbell, I think, wow, if they haven't taken the time or the energy or the money to replace this doorbell, what else is deferred in this house? What else is broken in this house? And that's really very frustrating for me when I walk up to a house and I see that doorbell broken and I know they want to list in the next 2 months, because I'm thinking they have a lot of things they're going to have to be spending money on. So if you are at that point where I'm walking up to your house, your doorbell is broken, and I'm walking in and I'm saying, you really need to get these things ready before you go on the market, that's the point you're going to say, okay, do we really need the money or do we want the money? And how much stress are we willing to have? So in this maintenance checklist, it's going to give you kind of years that you probably should be doing some things. I'll just give you a couple of ideas. One is like the grout and the caulk in your bathrooms, which I can't stand when I go into a bathroom and the grout is like moldy and dirty and gross. It's a really big thing for buyers, and you probably, just being in your house, seeing it every day, really don't think much about it. So now what I want you to do is I want you to step back out to the driveway. I want you to step in the street of your house, and I want you to look at your house like it's fresh and new, like you've never been there before and you're a buyer coming in. And I promise when you start to do that and you start to walk through the house, you're going to see things that are broken or that need to be cleaned or upkeep, things like that. Because I don't want you to get into a situation where it's time for you to put your house on the market and truly you have not done anything for years, and now you're looking at a $50,000, $100,000 upkeep to get it on the market and just keep it competitive. The other thing I want you to do is have a partner in this process. Now, I had this video that I posted, and it was about me giving advice to these homeowners who had a lot of mold in their house. You know, I said in there that you should call a real estate agent in if you're having issues in your house in general, even if you're not thinking of selling. And I actually got a lot of comments on that video that real estate agents don't actually do this. And I don't know, I mean, maybe I'm the only one in the whole country who does this. I highly doubt it, because agents who are super experienced have taken their passion to another level. Like, they really do want to do what's best for people in the community. And the one thing I didn't say is that, you know, let's say I go into somebody's home and I'm giving them some advice about upkeeping their house or giving them my vendor list or something like that, and they like me, but they're not selling for 5 or 10 years. When somebody that they know is selling and they ask for recommendation, who are they going to recommend? So as real estate agents, that's why we do this. A lot of times is because it's goodwill. It's referrals, and that's how we keep our business going. So I don't want you to feel that you can't call a real estate agent in, even if you're not thinking about moving, because agents understand like what you need to do over time. Okay, Palencia residents, I hope this makes sense to you, but the benefit to me being a resident here as well is that I can come over to your house anytime. I will walk into your home. I will help you. I will tell you, even if you are not ready to sell yet. If you're 5 to 10 years away, just shoot me a text, email, give me a call. More than happy just to stop by, no pressure. Tell you what you need to do to get your home ready to sell fast for more money, stress-free, whenever that is. Thanks for watching.